Let's take a look at the past simple worksheet, which is grammar practice, page 52. And this is practicing the past tense with two verbs. One is the be verb, and the other is do, to do. So first, let's just look at these verbs in the past tense. So the past simple of to be, you have two options depending on the subject. So for I, he, she, and it, the verb is was. And for you, we, and they, we say were. You were, we were, they were. And notice this pattern is a little bit different than the present tense, because in the present tense, we know that it's usually he, she, and it. And for those, we add an S to the verb. He goes, or he is, she is, it is. But for I, it's different. So it's the pattern here is a little bit different. You only have two choices, so it's actually a little bit easier. So let's look at a couple of examples here. So if the subject is I, then I need to choose was. So I was late. If the subject is you, then I need were. You were early. So there's two examples. Now let's talk about the verb do, or to do. And this one is really nice and easy because for all of the subjects, we use the same word. Did. I did, you did, we did, he did, she did, they did. So that makes it really easy for you. So let's look back to our worksheet here for a minute. And so notice at the top, they give you your choices here, was or were or did. And these are questions. So notice that all of these are questions. And so when we make questions, we will use was, were, or did. So here's a couple of examples. So they give you most of the question, you in class today. So what you have to do is you have to decide between was, were, or did. So we say, was you in class yesterday? Were you in class yesterday? Or did you in class yesterday? And the correct choice is were you. And the next one here, they give you, you get the assignment. Okay, so let's look at our options again. Was you get the assignment? Were you get the assignment? Or did you get the assignment? And so in this case, the correct answer is did. So I want to give you one piece of advice for doing this worksheet. For each question, you're going to need to decide, is this question about being or doing? Being or doing? So really the question is there action involved? Because if there is action involved, then we know the question is about doing, and we need to use the verb did. If it's about being, then we need to choose was or were, depending on the subject. And then don't forget also here to answer the question so that you have this extra space here, the empty space on the right side. So after you make your question, then you can go ahead and try to answer it. So let's look at a couple of these together. Number one here, they give us, you see a movie last night? Okay, so then first I say, is this about being or doing something. And this one is asking about seeing a movie, which is doing something. And so my choice will be did. Did you see a movie last night? And now when I'm answering this question, I don't use did because did is a question word. So I need to use a different verb, and actually they give me the verb here, and this is in the present tense, and I just need to make it in the past tense. So I'm going to say I saw, S-A-W, saw a movie last night. Or yes, I saw a movie last night. So I'm using the past tense of the verb from the sentence. Let's look at one more. Number 2 here. Your roommate at home this morning? So first I'm going to ask, is this about being or doing? Your roommate at home. This is a question about being. So I need to choose between was and were. Was your roommate at home this morning, or were your roommate at home? And because this, I know the subject here is your roommate, I need to use was. Was your roommate at home this morning? Now, when I answer this question here, it's going to be a little bit different than number 1 because the verb is the be verb. And so number 1, I told you that if the question is did, then your answer is not going to use did. But number 2 is using the be verb, and so this one, the answer will use the same word as what you put here. So if the question is, was your roommate at home this morning? The answer will use that same verb, was, and the answer will be, yes, my roommate was home this morning. Or no, my roommate wasn't home this morning. So just remember with these, if you're using did, then you're going to have a different verb in your answer, and you'll get that from the sentence, from the question. And if the verb is was or were, then you're going to use that same was or were in giving your answer. Let's try to find one more example with that. So number 8, here we have, you married in your country or in the US? So I ask, is this about being or doing? We're talking about married. So this is about being. So we need were. Were you married in your country or in the US? Were you married in your country or in the US? So when I'm forming my answer, it's going to be with I. And so for I need to say I was, not I were. I was married in my country. So now here you see it's actually different. The question is, were you married? The answer is, I was married. And the reason they're different is because when you answer a question, a you question, you have to answer it in the I form. So were you married? Yes, I was. Hopefully that makes sense. And notice some of these questions begin with a question word like where or when or who, how, and others only begin with the question words that we're studying, was or were or did. So it's going to really be the same as the others when you get to these questions that use these question words, like number 5, where something you live when you were young. So you do the same thing, right? You have to ask, is this about being or doing? Well, this one is about being. So where did you live when you were young? And so the answer, I don't use did, I say I, and then I have the verb here, live. So the answer is I lived in Illinois when I was. See, if it's you were, then the question needs to say when I was. I have to change the verb for a different subject, I. Where did you live when you were young? The answer, I lived in Illinois when I was young. So this is not the easiest worksheet, and I encourage you to give it your best try and text me with your completed worksheet, and I can kind of give you some help and let you know how you did. So I wish you luck. I hope it goes well for you.